Alright, so going all the way back to 2013, Dota 2 added the Compendium. And this is basically what we know today as a Battle Pass, which became popular with the rise of Fortnite. And it's said that in the first day of Season 3, which was the second Battle Pass they ever released because they started in Season 2, they got over $50 million that day from Battle Passes. So yeah, from that point on, every developer and publisher was just looking at Battle Passes like, hey, we gotta do this. Easy money, right? And they absolutely did. Everything that was online, everything that was live service, you basically saw a Battle Pass just going on to absolutely everything. And for a lot of people, including myself, it was just really annoying to see everything getting announced with a Battle Pass on launch. It just seems so egregiously greedy. However, after experiencing 3 years of what actual greed is like, that being a Korean pay-to-win MMO, along with playing multiple games with Battle Passes in them, I've actually started to change my mind on how I think about Battle Passes. So going back, Lost Ark is a game that is designed around catering to the Omega Whales. This is why this game doesn't have a casual player base, especially in the West. That's why a game that popped off so hard when it launched just looks depressing looking at it in 2025. But the thing is, this isn't a Lost Ark exclusive thing. This is just how Korean MMOs that are pay to win end up in the West. And if you've been following the channel, something I often talk about is that I wish they would cater towards the average player more. I like the idea of making a lot of people happy and getting a little bit of money off of everybody, as opposed to catering your entire game towards a small hand group of whales, which eventually some of them are going to quit. And that's kind of when I realized that, hey, I'm kind of just wanting a Battle Pass scenario. Now don't get it twisted, I do miss the old days of everybody just buys the game and they have access to all the same content. However, I also live in reality where you really can't expect that in a live service game anymore. And so I'm saying, if this is the way that you had to do microtransactions and just milking your player base, I do think this is part of the better way of doing it, along with adding cosmetics. However, for this to generally work, the game does need to have mass appeal. That's why Fortnite is able to get away with it, because Fortnite is so popular. So there are 3 things I've seen in Battle Passes these days that I'm like, hey, wait, this isn't that shit after all. The first being the premium currency within the Battle Pass itself. This is something I personally experienced in Naraka Bladepoint. While I don't play the game anymore, it was one of the first games I actually gave in and bought the Battle Pass, and that is because I saw that the gold that you use to spend it, you actually earn it back while doing the Battle Pass itself. That means if nothing has changed, if you bought the first Battle Pass and you do every Battle Pass after that, you've never actually paid for anything after that, because the money you used to spend the one rolled over the gold that you could use for the next one after that, and after that, and after that. And so there are people who have gotten like 10 or 20 Battle Passes, whatever they're up to, with only ever buying one ever. And I like that. However, that does realistically make it harder to be the sole or main monetization of your game to some degree, because your hardcore and dedicated audience is going to be that kind of a person who completes their passes so they never have to rebuy it again. So that does mean it can't be your only monetization route, and Naraka does have flat currency skins where you just pay money, buy the skin, and they unfortunately do have gacha skins where it costs you like $500+ to get the skin that you want. Because let's be honest, you're not going to get that 0.01% drop. You're going to roll until you get the pity. And this is the only one out of the 3 where it actually has like a negative, I guess you could say, to the developers to do it this way. Now granted, there are or should be new players that are going to buy Battle Passes, and there are going to be people who don't complete it. So that means they will have to swipe the rest of the money they're going to need for the next Battle Pass. The second is something I experienced in Once Human. This being absolutely anything that you do productive in that game gives you Battle Pass experience. Meaning, as long as you're actually doing anything in the game, you're going to be gaining Battle Pass experience. At first, you might not think of this as a game changer, but remember, I'm a Lost Ark player, and you probably are too if you're watching my channel right now. And in that game, and a lot of Korean MMOs, and really just the MMO space in general, you are basically given a checklist of daily and weekly things to do. Everything but raids, and sometimes even that, your average Lost Ark player is basically programmed now to do all this stuff on autopilot while they are probably watching a movie or something on YouTube or another stream. I think turning your content in your game into chores is just bad game design. Because now you have a lot of people who are playing the game not because they want to, but they feel like they have to. And that's why a lot of people end up doing things like chaos botting, because they don't want to do the content that is basically mandatory to do the content that they actually want. And so when I think of tying your FOMO to the Battle Pass, and especially the Once Human Battle Pass, where playing the game doing whatever you want gets you progress towards it, is really good. Because this really opens up a lot of freedom to not only the players, but the developers to design the game in a way that isn't around FOMO. And then the last one is something I encountered in Marvel Rivals, which is the Battle Pass does not expire. This makes me very sad that I did not play the game in Season 0, because had I bought it in Season 0, even on the last day, I would be able to complete it right now, or even years down the line, as long as the game doesn't hit end of service, which is not looking very likely. This helps delete the FOMO and also that people can join in late and still get the full benefits of the battle pass. And that's one thing I and a lot of people hate about battle passes. Like, you bought it, but you don't get everything of it. This isn't like buying a banana at the market and leaving it on the table for a month and seeing it go bad. This is a digital item that you bought that should not expire. And you know what? I'm actually going to glaze Marvel Rivals a little bit more. Because really, this battle pass goes pretty crazy. Like, this is almost a little bit of all three combined. While originally I wasn't a big fan of having it be mission-based for their battle pass, these missions are pretty broad. It could be damage, it could be wins, or it could be doing X amount of damage, or wins, or defending damage, or healing with X characters. So there's usually a pool of 4 characters. This is actually pretty good in encouraging people to expand their hero pool. And also, the Season 1 Battle Pass has 10 skins on it, with only one of them being a recolor. That's pretty crazy, because I actually use all these skins, basically, besides the Iron Man one. That one, I don't really like that Iron Man. And it is a $10 Battle Pass, if I recall right, and a normal skin in this game is going to cost you anywhere from $16 to $22 roughly USD. That is really good value, and on top of that, you actually do get currency for doing the Battle Pass itself. In Season 1, you're gaining about 2/3 of the cost of your next Battle Pass back. So with all that in mind, I really have changed my mind on how I wish games are monetized and my opinion on battle passes. I do think having them plus cosmetics customization, nothing that affects power, is really the way to go, which ironically is pretty much how Fortnite goes to my knowledge. However, on the other end of the spectrum, gacha games are very successful and very pay to win. However, unlike your average MMO, they respect your time, which we've talked about in the past. But going back on topic, out of the 3 things I talked about that I like in battle passes that I've been seeing lately, I do think that having them non-expire is the most important one. I think if this was to be implemented in all of them, I think this is the one. Because again, it's something you bought, you already paid for, you should get all the benefits of it. Now, there are 2 things that deter me and make me just not even want to play the product. That being anything power related, and semi-related to power is also characters. If they're too strong, it's pay to win. If it's too weak, then you got scammed. I do not care if it is a free tier or not, I still think it's horrible design. However, if I go any longer, this is going to turn into a general rant and discussion about monetization. So I'm just going to wrap this up here. I used to be a big Battle Pass hater, and now I'm like, well, actually, they're not that bad. In general, for the lot of games I played, they give you a good value for what you're spending. And also, just not all of them are made equal. And I really do think that if a game has to be monetized, a Battle Pass and cosmetics are really a great way to go. Because when you focus your FOMO into the Battle Pass, you're less likely to compromise the game itself for the sake of FOMO. And, cosmetics, Gooner's got a goon. Like, as long as you make them good looking, people are going to buy them. So that is my current thoughts on Battle Passes. I've said that too much in this video. So let me know in the comments how you would like to see games be monetized realistically.